You're watching the Weiss channel. Dat. All right. This time we're going to do some more with fractions. Oh, Mr. Weiss, I hate fractions. No. It's easy. Promise you. Just take a look. All right. So first of all, just let's recall this. What do we do here with this mess? Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to please do this first. With the 5, put 5 over 1, right? And you're going to find a common denominator. And that's going to be very easy here because if you have 1 and 7, the common denominator is going to be 7, right? So since this guy doesn't change, that means this guy doesn't change. Okay. And 1 times what makes 7? 1 times 7 makes 7. Well, whatever you do to the bottom, you gotta do to the top. Whatever you do to the bottom, you gotta do to the top. Whatever you do to the bottom, you gotta do to the top. Okay, so 1 times 7 is 7. What's 5 times 7? 5 times 7 is 35. So what's 35 plus 2? 35 plus 2 is 37 over 7. And you can just leave it like that. Done. Easy, man. Okay. Next. One more example like that. All right. Once again, put 3 over 1. Okay. So this time, what's your common denominator? Your common denominator is going to be 5, right? Since this guy doesn't change, this guy doesn't change. 1 times what makes 5? 1 times 5 makes 5. Whatever you do to the bottom, you gotta do to the top. 3 times 5 is 15. What's 15 plus 4? That would be 19 over 5. Done. Easy. Okay. All right. Next. All right. Perform the operation and express your answer as a single fraction in simplest form. What? Don't just deep breath with me. Okay, no problem. Just we're going to add these together. All right, it's not a problem. First of all, just like I told you before, please put x over 1. Now, what's the common denominator? Well, it's going to be y squared. Y squared by the moon and the stars in the sky. And y squared. All right, enough of that. So this guy doesn't change, which means this guy doesn't change. So 1 times what makes y squared? 1 times y squared makes y squared. So what's x times y squared? X times y squared is going to be x y squared. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please tell me, are this and this, are those like terms? No, these are not like terms, right? So all you have to do is write it out. all you have to do is write x y squared minus x all over y squared. You're done. Okay, that's all you have to do. Now, I have to tell you this, when you are putting your answer in on Delta Math, right? Do you remember this key? You have to use this key. It's A over B. Okay, that sets up the fraction. You have to hit that key on the keyboard button that's on your answer in Delta Math. Okay, hit that key first, and then you punch in this, and then go to the bottom and put in that. Okay. All right. Please email me if you're having any problems with that. Okay. Okay. Another example. Okay. Here, all right. What is the common denominator? Okay. Now, there's an x and a y here, and there's a y to the third here. Okay. So x will be part of the common denominator, and y to the third, because, let me write that cleaner. Y to the third, because y goes into y to the third, and y to the third goes into y to the third. So your common denominator will be x, y to the third. Okay, so now here's this situation. All right. xy times what makes xy to the third? Do you agree that we're multiplying by y to the second in order to get y to the third, right? So since the bottom gets multiplied by y to the second, whatever you do to the bottom, you gotta do to the top. So what's 1 times y to the second? 1 times y to the second is y to the second, right? Okay, now over here, what does y to the third get multiplied by in order to make x y to the third? Doesn't that get multiplied by x, right? So what's 1 times x? 1 times x is x. Now, once again, could you please tell me, are these two guys like terms? No, they're not. So you're just gonna write it out. Y squared plus x all over x y to the third. And you're done. Now, could I also write this as x plus y squared all over x y to the third? Sure. Doesn't matter which order you write these two in. Okay? But this here is your answer, just like that. And don't forget to hit that A over B button. Excuse me. Don't forget to hit that A over B button first. Okay? All right. Let's take a look at another one. So here, what is the common denominator? Does it make sense that your common denominator is going to be x to the third, y to the third, right? X to the third, y to the third. Okay. So this guy gets multiplied by x to the third. So what's 1 times x to the third? 1x to the third, right? I'm just going to write x to the third. What does this guy get multiplied to make that one? X to the third gets multiplied by y to the third, right? So what's 1 times y to the third? That would be 1y to the third, right? And once again, are these two guys like terms? No, they're not. So just write your answer. X to the third plus y to the third over x to the third, y to the third. Easy. Don't forget, when you put in your answer in Delta Math, to hit that A over B button first to get the fraction set up. Okay? It's easy. Okay, over here. What is the common denominator? So first of all, just with 2 and 5, what's the common denominator of 2 and 5? Isn't it 10, right? So since there's this x here, doesn't it make sense that x will be part of my common denominator? Okay? Okay. So now, 2 times what makes 10x? Wouldn't 2 times 5x make 10x? Yes, it does. So what's 3 times 5x? 3 times 5x is 15x. Hopefully it makes sense that if you reduce 15x over 10x, if you simplify that, that's the same exact thing as 3 over 2. I hope that makes sense. Because the idea is you're not changing the problem, okay? All right. How about this? 5x times what makes 10x? 5x times 2 makes 10x, right? So what's 1 times 2? 1 times 2 is 2. Once again, are these two guys like terms? No, they're not. So just write your answer. 15x plus 2 over 10x. And you're done. Okay? Easy. And again, don't forget to hit your A over B button first in order to put your answer in Delta Math. Okay, take a look at this. Still very easy. What's the common denominator? Well, first of all, just looking at the 5 and the 25. Would you agree that 5 goes into 25? Okay, so 25 is part of your common denominator. Okay, and we're just going to add in that x there. Okay, 25x is your common denominator. All right, so once again, 5x times what makes 25x? Wouldn't 5x times 5 make 25x? Whatever you do to the bottom, you gotta do to the top. Whatever you do to the bottom, you gotta do to the top. So what's 2 times 5? 2 times 5 is 10. 25x, I'm sorry, 25 times what makes 25x? 25 times x makes 25x, right? So what's 1 times x? 1 times x is x. Are these two guys like terms? They are not. So just write your answer. 10 plus x over 25x. Done. Okay? Easy. Don't forget to hit your A over B button first in Delta Math to set your fraction up. What about this guy? Okay. With this guy, the common denominator, right? You have x to the third here, and you have an x here. Does it make sense that x to the third will be part of the common denominator because x goes into x to the third, and x to the third goes into x to the third, right? Okay. And I'm just going to add in the 3. So your common denominator is 3x to the third. Okay. So x to the third times what makes 3x to the third? X to the third times 3 makes 3x to the third, doesn't it? So what's 4 times 3? 4 times 3 is 12. All right. And 3x times what makes 3x to the third? How about x squared? X to the second. So 5, oops, sorry, 5 times x to the second makes 5x to the second. Okay. Once again, are these two like terms? No, they are not. So just write out your answer. 12 plus 5x squared over 3x to the third. Done. Okay. I'd like to show you one more if you don't mind. Okay. What is the common denominator? All right. 5 goes into 20, right? So 20 will be part of your common denominator. You have x to the second and x to the third. Whenever you have a letter with exponents, it's always going to be the highest exponent that will be your common denominator. What? So here's x to the second, here's x to the third. X to the third is your common denominator because x to the second goes into x to the third. Okay. No problem. So 5x to the second times what makes 20x to the third? Does it make sense that 4x times 5x squared makes 20x to the third? So if I multiplied by 4x, I'm going to take 2 times 4x and get 8x. This guy didn't change. Stayed the same. So guess what? This 3 stays the same. And one last time, are these two guys like terms? They are not. So you just write your answer. 8x minus 3 all over 20 x to the third. And don't forget to hit your A over B button to enter your answer into Delta Math. You've been watching the Weiss channel. Have a great day and say no to drugs.